Everyone wants higher revenue, but what you actually need is higher profit. A lot of contractors are growing revenue, but making less money. I want to take a minute and explain the higher revenue trap and why before we ever want to build revenue, we need to be building our profit percentage, gross profit and ultimately net profit, gross and net profit percentage. Say you're a siding company and you're putting siding on houses, and you're pricing to be competitive. You're trying to be competitive, maybe a little too competitive, and a lot of customers are calling you to install their siding, and you're getting a wait list built up, and my goodness, you're making thousands of dollars on these installs, and you're just seeing that revenue number. You're just seeing that revenue, and you're thinking, man, I need to get more and more jobs. I'm making $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on a job here every time they're paying me. But then you begin to build your revenue, but you never stop to look at your numbers to see where your profit margin is, your gross profit, and then your net profit later. So you got your cost of goods that comes out of revenue, just a simple little run through. You got your revenue, you got your cost of goods, and the cost of goods minus the revenue minus the cost of goods gives you your gross profit. But that's not profit, that's gross profit. Then you have your overhead that comes out of your gross profit, and after that you get your net profit. Now, there's also a deception in net profit. That doesn't mean that's cash flow in your bank, but that'll be another video. Wow. So your net profit is after your cost of goods, which is your materials and your labor in the field. Your labor in the field should be in cost of goods sold, not in overhead. There's labor and overhead, but that's in the admin and the office and so forth. So you have your cost of goods that comes off right off the bat, material and labor in the field to get that job done, to get that revenue, to be able to be invoiced. That's your cost of goods sold. So then you have your gross profit. Now you have your overhead that's at the end of the month. You take all your revenue minus all your cost of good, and then you have to subtract your overhead. And after that, you get your net profit. Your overhead is your office payroll, not your labor in the field payroll. That's different. It's your office payroll. Labor in the field is in cost of goods, remember. So now this is your labor. This is your office labor. And this is your any of your like subscriptions, so forth, that you pay all the time, your rent, whatever you have. Maybe you have an office building you're renting or whatever. And that gives you, after you subtract your overhead from your gross profit, now you got your net profit. Everybody following? Revenue, cost of goods, revenue minus cost of goods sold, that's your gross profit. Gross profit minus overhead, that's your net profit. You're trying to get your net profit, your percentage of net profit, as high as possible. In the home service industry, in the construction business, we're trying for 15% to 20% net profit. Probably most of the guys listening to this are laughing. If you know your numbers, you might be laughing, saying, that's a stinking dream, man. I'm at 3%. Give us a call. Send us an email. We'd love to talk with you. We might be able to work with you. We love doing this. 3 to 5% net profit is so hard to maintain a business on. We're trying to get you to 15 to 20% net profit. So anyway, if you're losing money, listen to this. We want to get a higher revenue. Remember our example. We're a siding company. We're getting $3,000 to $5,000 for installs on this siding. For the types of jobs you're doing, the size of the job you're doing. Just an example. So you're thinking, man, I'm getting $5,000 every install average. I need to do I need to do 100 jobs this year to get a $500,000 revenue. But if you look at your numbers and you take off your cost of goods and you take off your overhead and you end up with your net profit is only 1 or 2%, you're going to work your brains out and have no money. Because net profit doesn't mean that that's cash money that's yours in your business. Net profit just means what's left after cost of goods and after overhead. We didn't talk about loan payments yet. That's a huge one. You got a couple loan payments on some trucks, or you bought a building or something and you're paying that back. Those all come out of net profit. Those aren't revenue. We haven't even talked about loans yet, see? So net profit's gotta be 15 to 20% to make good money at this business. And if you're at a 2 to 3, 4% net profit, then what's happened is you're actually losing money on every job you do. So for example, in our example, you got $5,000, you're getting average on your siding installs, $5,000. And by the time you get everything out of there, you're at 2% net profit. 2% on $5,000 is literally $100. Is that right? 5%, 2% on $5,000 is just $100? Yeah, that's right. 2% of a $5,000 job is $100. If you have a truck payment that's say $450 a month, $400 or $500 a month, man, you got to do 5 jobs just to get your truck payment covered, and you still have no money at all. And then whatever extras aren't already accounted for that come out of your net profit. So for instance, if you're not taking a salary, if you're making 2% net profit and you're doing $100,000 a month on 2%, you're only getting $2,000 a month, and then you have to pay your truck payments. There's just no money. So rather than say, okay, I'm making $100,000 and I feel like I have no money, but I'm getting $5,000 every time I do a job. My goodness. So you're doing 20 jobs a month, you're getting $100,000, $5,000 a job on average. You're taking a 2% net profit, which is giving you $2,000 a month, $2,000 a month profit. If this is resonating, by the way, please email us. We work with companies all the time. We have a proven system we work with. We get your books in order. We get your numbers straight. We plug them into our system that's patented, that tells us what to fix and how to fix it. And we give you that report every month and help you and coach you to get your numbers where they need to be. So please subscribe to the channel, all that stuff, but just email, the email's in the description, Divine Strategy Group at gmail.com, Divine Strategy Group at gmail.com. We have Divine Bookkeeping Services, a wing of our business, and we will help you get your numbers where they need to be and our data straight, get your books straight. Then we can plug that good data into the system and start building a business plan that'll get you to the 15%, 20%. At least that's our goal. But we want to move the ball that direction and get out of this 2% revenue trap. Man, that thing's tough. So back to the example, if you're making $100,000 a month with a 2% net profit, that's $2,000 a month you have, and you still have to make your truck payments. You're not making any money. So if you're not taking a salary out of that income, you're never going to make any income. So if you say, okay, wait a minute, I don't need to make $100,000 a month. It must be I need to make more money. So you try to increase your revenue to $200,000 a month, but your net profit still stays at 2%. So you actually are now having $4,000 a month instead of $2,000 a month in your net profit because your revenue went up to $200,000 a month. But here's the problem. You're still not making any money. So now you're running around crazy doing twice the work, hired twice as many people, got twice as many transactions, your bookkeeping fees have gone up, and everything's gone up, and your net profit still lingers at 1.5% to 2%, and you're still not making any money. And you think it must be, it must be I need a higher revenue. So you decide, I am going to push it. I am going to hire another salesman, and I am going to get to $300,000 to $400,000 a month in revenue. And when you accomplish that, if you have any hair left and you haven't pulled it all out, you're sitting there looking around saying, I don't understand this. I'm making $400,000 a month now, and I still don't have any money. What is going on? Please give us a call. The higher revenue trap is a real thing. Everybody's looking for higher revenue. We need higher profit. If you can fix your pricing, your job costing, find out where the hemorrhaging is, where the money's leaking out at, or whatever, maybe. You know, a lot of guys do this. It's crazy to me. A lot of guys will price their jobs to be super competitive in the market, right? And then they'll have work that's 6, 8, maybe 10 months out. They're scheduling jobs, which is wild to me. And that's a great security because you know you have work way out ahead of you. But the problem is this, okay? You have work way out ahead of you, but those are sold at a 2% net profit system. So your job, your pricing is set all ready to kill you. You gotta change your pricing. And if you have work so far in advance, you're just hurting yourself by trying to get all the jobs because it's not helping you to put a 2% net profit way in advance. So what we advise guys to do is to take your pricing and start working with that. Try increasing your pricing some and give it an honest shot. Don't try it on one job and walk away like, oh my goodness, I'm never going to get any more jobs. You have to make money. We're in the business to make money, not to work our brains out, frustrate, and be gone all the time and still not have money. We are in the business to make money. So we need to have the profit set because that's where we make money. So we set our pricing where we want it to be for ourselves to make money. Then we can increase our jobs. Then we can increase our revenue. Why? Because we've got our system built. Now we're set up for 10 to 15% net profit. That's pretty good, okay? If we can get to 20% net profit, you are killing it. You're one of the few. We've got a few companies we're working with, and they're getting there. They're almost there, and that's awesome. So 20% net profit, if you can get there, now on your $100,000 a month revenue of your siding company, you're bringing in $20,000 net profit, boom, stacking it in the bank. The next month, $20,000 net profit, boom, stack it in the bank. You do that for 5 months, you've got $100,000 cash in your books ready to roll that you can work with. Net profit. You got $100,000 in net profit in 5 months. And you take out hopefully you don't have a ton of loans and all this, and you still got a good amount of cash flow to work with, and you're making money now. Now, you may want to increase to $200,000 in revenue, but you may just be fine because you're actually making money. With the other model, okay, 20% is what you're at now. With the other model, remember, you were at 2%. On $100,000, you made 2% net profit. With that percentage, you literally, in order to make $20,000, 2%, you literally have to make $1 million revenue in 1 month to get $20,000, to get 2% net profit at $20,000. You have to make 10 times the revenue to get the same money that you can get if you just set your business up right, set your numbers up right, set your net profit where it needs to be, set your pricing, bring your cost of goods down, bring your overhead down, whatever you have to do to try to get to the 20% net profit mark, which there's a lot of strings we can pull. We work with companies all the time. This is attainable. This is not the pie in the sky and the sweet by and by. This can happen for you guys. 20% net profit is attainable in the construction business and the home service business. 15 to 20% net profit is going to change your whole business. So you could do $1 million. Think about that guy with that siding crew. He's doing $100,000 in revenue, 20 jobs a month at $5,000 a job. If he maintains his pricing at $5,000 a job, he now needs to not get $100,000. He needs to get $1 million in revenue a month, still maintaining 2% net profit, to come up with $20,000 net profit every month. That means whatever he's doing to get his $100,000 worth of jobs, which is 20 jobs, he now has to times it by 10. Think about that for a minute. A guy with a guy that has one helper can maybe do 4 jobs a week if he's quick. I mean, $5,000 is not a high job, you know. But man, if you want to do 200 jobs a month, how many guys do you how many guys do you need to do 200 jobs a month? Because you're trying to get to the $1 million revenue to be equal with the $20,000 in net profit. So the best move you can do is figure out why your gross and net profit is so low. And that's what we do. We look at your books, we get your data right, we get all your bookkeeping right. If the bookkeeping's not right, if the things aren't put in the right place if you're in your financials, you don't know where you're even at to start. Once we get that data right, once we get those books cleaned up and right, and we know then we analyze it, and boom, we can tell you where the problems are. We print out a sheet. It's got red, yellow, green. Red, like this is dire, needs attention. Yellow, keep your eye on this. This is tough. It's gonna bite you maybe. Green is leave it alone. It's doing great. So you can focus on where the hemorrhaging is. I use the example all the time. If a paramedic shows up to a scene of an accident, and there was 3 people involved, and one guy's over here holding his head saying, man, what in the world? And I'm okay. All right, okay. And over here you see a guy, and you see his arm's broken. You say, oh man, that guy's got a broken arm. Real quick, you can notice that. You look over here, and the guy has busted his neck, and he's bleeding out of his neck. You say, oh my word, the first thing I'm going to do is stop the bleeding. But, only because you know what's going on. And what happens a lot of times in these in the businesses, in the construction businesses, the owner comes to the scene of the accident. His business is struggling, falling apart, and he looks around and he don't know what to do because he doesn't see where the bleeding is. He doesn't see where the broken arm is, and he doesn't see where the guy sitting there holding his head saying, "I'm fine" is. because you don't have accurate data to tell you what to do. So you got to be able to assess your business, find out what's wrong, and then put the effort to the best place possible that can give you the most return on the investment of that time and energy each month. And that's what we do at Divine Strategy Group. We love it. It's our passion. If you haven't been able to tell, we really love it. So give us a call, give us an email. The link's in the description. We got a form you can fill out, figure out, maybe we can work together, see if we can work together, see if we can help you out, and try to get your net profit up. So the problem is not, most of the time, the problem is not revenue, but the problem is net profit. So we want to help you get your net profit up there where you can function and become profitable. Remember, just doing $100,000 revenue is a whole lot simpler, and making $20,000 net profit, that's a whole lot simpler, a whole lot easier than trying to run $1 million a month. What? $1 million every month still just to make that $20,000 net profit because you're only running 2% net profit.